It's July 4th, 2012, 3 p.m. This is when the men's race starts. Michael sets off on a grueling marathon in Seward, Alaska. The race typically starts on 4th Avenue and Adams Street. It takes runners up Marathon Mountain to the Summit Rock, which is about 3,000 feet above sea level. It's followed by a fast and dangerous descent back down to Seward. Once racers reach the top, the fastest runners can make it back in under 10 minutes. Just like that gentleman in the video said, I think the record was 6 minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Which is insane. The annual race is about 3.1 miles, has an average slope of 34 degrees with 60 degrees at its steepest. So
that's insane. That's super steep. That's crawling. You can't walk up that.
Yeah, and that's why they say that some of the spots you have to use your hands and kind of like baby crawl up the mountain.
Yeah.
Like we said, the race was first organized in 1915, and it's regarded as one of the hardest short-distance mountain races in the world. The event draws more than 30,000 people to Seward every year. Joe's looking up Google Earth of it right now.
I'm showing it up on the screen so you guys can kind of see. This is the side of the mountain right here. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes like a ledge, just straight up.
Yeah. It's
that is aggressive.
Is that the mountain?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's Race Point right there.
Okay, yeah. That's covered in snow.
Yeah, let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so this is where they go around that rock.
Yep.
In the video, they go up around the rock and come back down.
And that's not the actual peak of the mountain.
Oh, no.
The peak is a little further up.
Yeah, here's the peak way up here. Yeah, they would have too much loss of life if they went up there. You have to go that whole ridge, and I'm sure it's covered in snow almost all year round.
Yeah. So, like we said, this was the first time that Michael had run this race. So he was not experienced in the area. And, of course, the day of the race, the weather was rainy and foggy, and it also rained the night before. And due to this, the trail conditions at the time were very slick and muddy, which, if you're talking 30 to 60 degree angles, you don't want that stuff to be slick.
Yeah.
So, tough conditions, especially for a novice who had never done this race before. So it is now July 4th, 2012 at 6 p.m., about 3 hours into the race. Michael was slowly making his way up the mountain in last place as checkpoint officials were packing up. Michael was last seen by an official named Tom Walsh heading down the mountain just below the race's turn around the point at elevation of about 3,000 feet. So Michael was only about 200 feet from the top when he was seen last. So he was close. He was almost there. And he actually had asked the official if he could continue the race as there was plenty of daylight left and he had already navigated the most dangerous parts of the course. And Race Point was obviously visible just up the trail. And he could still see all of Seward below him. So,
yeah, like although dangerous, it'd be hard to get lost on the side of the mountain. I'll pull it back up on Google Earth because, I mean, you're going to be a direct view right down to the city. Like, up from here, like, you can just see that. There's no trees in the way unless you're way down low.
Yeah, you would know if you're off course. If you didn't see Seward, you're not going the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like we said, he asked that official if he could continue, and Walsh, the official that was heading down, told him to loop the rock atop Race Point and go down via the descent trail. According to Walsh, Michael didn't appear to be sick or injured. Moving slow, yes, but otherwise no red flags stood out. And we actually have a picture of Michael that the officials took probably pretty close to his disappearance. And you can see in the picture that he's uninjured. He's got a big smile on his face. Nothing about him.
That was this one, right?
Yeah, that's that picture.
Yeah.
So that's the last picture that we have of him. And
look at that smile on his face.
Yeah.
He's right. He just went through all the hardest stuff.
And he's smiling.
Yeah, he's got a big smile on his face. He's excited. Yeah, you can see the town right in the background.
Yep. No signs of any kind of trauma, physical trauma. The weather in that picture looks pretty good. I mean, you can tell it's cloudy.
It's gray and cloudy, but like it's almost like the rain had just finished gray.
Yeah. It's not raining. It's not snowing. Yeah, and it's very rare that we have these cases where we have a picture of the person who disappeared, shortly before their disappearance. So
I'll zoom in on this one.
Okay.
This seems to be the same day. Oh, it's in another person's blog. All right, never mind.
So this would be the last time that anyone will have seen Michael. So it was this official, Tom Walsh. When Walsh got to the bottom, he texted race officials that bib number 548, which was Michael's bib number, would be home in about an hour and a half. So now it's July 4th, 2012 at 8 p.m. So by 8 o'clock, when he had not appeared, the family notified authorities, and almost instantly, kind of a hastily prepared search kicked off. And unfortunately, the temperatures were dropping rapidly, and rain was increasing. So, looking at the picture of Michael, he has no hat. He's got climbing gloves on, which would not protect you from any kind of moisture, and a T-shirt and shorts and running shoes. So definitely not prepared for a cold night in an Alaskan mountain with rain coming down. So like we said, a hastily prepared search, gets going. They don't find anything. So by July 5th of 2012 at 2 a.m., an Alaska State Trooper helicopter equipped with infrared radar infrared radar. I can't talk tonight.
Yeah.
Sensitive enough to see footprints left in snow arrived and scanned the mountain. Searchers also landed.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, and also searchers landed below and started, using their whistles and things like that, and they didn't find anything. Mm-hmm. So at this point, sleet was falling at Race Point, and Michael would have been up on the mountain for 12 hours now, only in a T-shirt and shorts. So that's a tough night you're going to have, especially if he somehow got up to Race Point and couldn't get back down into the trees. There's nowhere to take shelter.
Yeah, and if you look here, it's the bottom quarter of the race is on the tree line.
Yeah, and I mean, once
this is actually cool. You can see this is the route.
Yeah.
Up and down.
And once you would get down to the tree line, you're almost to town.
Yeah, that's the flattest part.
I mean, and we'll get into some theories about what people think happened to him, and I've got a theory what may have happened to him as well. So, like we said, it's now the middle of the night. It's sleeting. It's very cold, and he's been up there now in very little gear. So searchers feared, even at this early point, that if he was injured, he would already be suffering from hypothermia. So I don't even think there's any doubt in that. If he was still alive at this point, he would be very hypothermic. So
especially after sweating and losing all the moisture in his body, and
he'd be dehydrated too.
Yeah.
So now it's July 5th, 2012. So when Michael's daughter, Marianne, didn't hear back from her dad, she flew to Seward on July 5th. Now the larger SAR operation kicked off in earnest in the morning, involving firefighters, state troopers, a National Guard helicopter crew armed with infrared tech, mountaineering experts, and search dogs. So they had 2 helicopters in the area now. The 210th Rescue Squadron of the Alaska Air National Guard, which specializes in searching for downed pilots and missing hikers, arrived with its HH-60 PAV Hawk helicopter for another infrared scan. There were now 2 helicopters searching for Michael at this point. And as you see on the map, it's safe to assume the search area for Michael is not that big. I mean, it's big in the sense it's a large mountainous area, but you pretty much... They know what zone to look for.
Yeah, I'll go to this one because this showed without snow. You can even see it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a wall. Like they have to search it a whole wall, so it'll pop up in a second. Look at that.
I mean, basically that triangle is where you would search.
Yeah.
Assuming he didn't. So I have some theories. I won't go into it.
Don't go into it yet, but this is like one of those rare instances where they know exactly where he was going.
Yep.
He
have a picture of him.
Yeah, and
near
like
the top.
So he was near the top. And he wanted to finish.
Yeah.
So he's going to try and stay en route. So you have a very good idea of where he would be.
Yeah. So Also on the ground at this time, they had 40 searchers, which soon expanded to 60, and they canvassed the mountain as well. So you had 2 helicopters with infrared technology in the air. You had 60 searchers canvassing probably the trail area, and they actually, from what I read, they actually used, we've heard this in other disappearances where they tie rope to the trees to mark areas that have been searched.
Oh, okay.
So they were tying, like
creating a grid,
hot colored, like that. What do you call it? It's like ribbon.
I don't know.
Oh,
like Coban, like the stuff you used to like wrap around, like to do a tourniquet, kind of
stuff like that.
Okay.
So that was in the trees. So,
but were you saying hot?
Like hot pink.
Okay.
Hot green, hot yellow.
Like, is it warm? I don't know what you're talking about.
The color wise.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about now.
Kind of.
I
don't know. I don't think you're losing it.
Yeah, maybe I am. They call it surveyor's tape.
Okay.
So
I'll look it up while you keep going. And
so some of the questions people running this search were asking, so they asked, did Michael hike right past Race Point and continue up the goat path towards the true summit, only to slip down treacherous cliffs, beside the path? Did he fall through a melting snow bridge created by the streams that run beneath the lingering snowfields, and got injured and was out of sight? Did he beeline straight for Seward through the impossible jungle of alders and Devil's Club? So they were already kind of asking themselves what they were trying to put themselves into his head, like what could he have done for, why can't we find him?
Yeah.
So SAR members scoured the mountain for days in torrential rains, but found no sign of Michael. And like I said, they even tied strips of pink and orange surveyor's tape to branches to mark places they've searched. So Marianne, this was his daughter again, walked the mountain for weeks looking for her dad. She is quoted here. The biggest factor was the record snow. The trail conditions were unlike anything they had seen before, ice underneath. The chutes had snow bridges on them that had been collapsing all summer. If my dad had fallen in one of those chutes and a snow bridge had collapsed over him, the infrared helicopters would have not have been able to find him. So that is a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can search what a snow bridge looks like, but
sure.
That could be a very good theory as to what happened to him. So
I'm going to take a guess without pulling it up yet. It's probably like a natural, it seemed like the ground, but really there's nothing underneath it and probably collapsed.
So like a little mini valley that's just filled with snow.
Yeah, let's see here. These are just the images that pull up. An arc formed by snow across a crevasse.
Oh.
There you go. So, yeah, it's a bridge of snow.
Bridge of
so there's
snow.
no structure except it just kind of stuck that way in any type of weight.
And it melts under it, and then if someone walks over it, they fall through.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, would you want to cross that?
No.
Exactly.
But you might
But
not
if you don't see it, yeah, that's
and probably the locals know not to cross these. But if you're a novice that has never hiked this area, but he's from Alaska.
But it's his first race on the mountain. Maybe like you got to know the area.
But I mean, he sure he's been in the mountains before, and you would think he would be aware of, these conditions.
I think that's a good picture of it right there.
Yeah,
yeah. You might, if you're coming straight up and not looking the side, it could just look like it's snow.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's
it's a pretty good theory.
Pretty good theory. So the time frame now, this is a rough date because I couldn't find an actual date of when the search ended, but it's between July 7th and July 8th of 2012. They said 4 days after Michael disappeared, the state troopers who had spearheaded the search ended the SAR operation. The Seward Volunteer Fire Department kept looking. A cadaver dog arrived from Oregon, and friends continued to pore over high-resolution photographs of the area. Michael's son, John, also came to Seward from Anchorage to comfort Peggy, his wife, during the search. Daughter Marianne, like we said, flew up from Utah and stayed for 6 weeks, climbing the mountain's gullies with volunteers. She even at one point was searching through bear scat to try and find remains or scraps of clothing. So
that's sad.
Yeah, that's a grisly thing to do. But you know what? I mean, she knows what she's doing because that would be one if he'd been attacked by a bear, which there's tons of bears in Alaska.
Yeah.
That would be one theoretical way to find his remains, sadly. So August of 2012, Michael was declared legally dead after a court proceeding called a presumed death trial. Though Michael was declared dead, he is still considered a missing person by the Alaska State Troopers. After being declared legally dead, Michael's wife Peggy sued the race and the Seward Chamber of Commerce for $5 million, alleging negligence and emotional distress. During the court case, Chamber officials obtained access to Michael's financial records in an effort to prove that Michael had staged his own disappearance and was in fact alive. They didn't find any proof or sign of life.
That is a very odd point to side of the case to go on.
Yeah, I mean,
he faked his disappearance and he's alive, and they're weighing their whole thing on he did it for the money,
or who knows. Yeah, I mean, I guess
that'd be the only reason I feel like to do it. Him and his wife are in on it, and they're gonna declare him dead. They're gonna get the money and then go live. Somewhere else. I see. I'm not getting into theories. I'll use that one.
Yeah,
highly unlikely.
I obviously the lawyers for the Chamber of Commerce have to fight their case, and they're probably trying every angle to win the case. So
yeah,
October 2014, the Seward Chamber of Commerce eventually settled with the family for $20,000. The race organizers took no responsibility for Michael's disappearance, and we have a quote here from someone with the organizers that said, "Race volunteers spoke with Michael as he was approaching the turnaround point and let him know that the race was over," the statement said. Numerous witnesses, including one medical doctor, would have testified at trial that Michael requested no assistance, appeared to be in no distress, and wished to continue to the top of the mountain. So one positive, I guess, if you're an outside observer, the locals, I didn't put any of the quotes from locals about this, but the locals from Seward and people that run this race every year are kind of he was inexperienced. He went up on the mountain and disappeared.
They're like, yeah, that can happen.
They're like, yeah, we tell everyone not to do this if they're inexperienced.
Okay,
what do they think's going to happen? That was kind of the locals' opinion of this. Even though Michael is a local to Alaska, he's not a local to Seward, and he's never run the race before.
Sure.
And they're like, one guy was like, "There's no way to make this race safe. If you want to make it safe, don't do the race. Cancel the event." He's like, you can't put bumpers on the trail and make everyone wear helmets. And he's like, it's just not going to happen. So, since this is the one good news, I guess, about this, since Michael's disappearance, new rules were put in place, including one that says runners must now sign a pledge saying they've completed the roughly 3-mile race course at least once prior to race day. Also, participants who don't make the halfway point within 1 hour are disqualified, and race sweepers now follow the last runner on the top of the mountain and all the way back down.
Okay.
So they have an experienced person.
They have guys running the race just to watch dudes running the race?
Yeah. So, it makes sense because he was the last guy up the trail and went missing. So,
yeah.
That is the timeline for Michael's...